Thank you, Phyllis. It's always amazing to me that the music can so closely match the subtle energy out there, and that to me sounded like little buds just full of potential, getting ready to burst with the spring. Good morning. My name is Devta, and I'll be your service leader for today. Welcome to Unity of Bloomington. At Unity, we offer practical spiritual teachings that empower abundant and meaningful living. We are a center for spiritual growth, and we provide inspiration, tools, and practices that support people on their path of spiritual growth. We extend a special welcome to those of you who are joining us online for the first time today. If you'd like to find out more about us or to receive our newsletter, we invite you to visit our website at unityofbloomington.org. You can also just subscribe to our newsletter while you're visiting the website. Please join us in combining our voices in joyful song.
My mind is open to changing the world. Let it begin, let change begin with me. My heart embraces a world wrapped in peace. Let it begin, let peace begin with me. I am an agent of change, a sweet dove of peace. I love, I love, I love. I am an agent of change, a sweet dove of peace. I love unfolding. My eyes envision a world aglow in love. Let it begin, let love begin with me. We move together toward all that is just. Let it begin, let justice begin with us. We are agents of change, sweet doves of peace. We are love, we are love, we are love, we are love. We are agents of change, sweet doves of peace. We are love unfolding. We are love unfolding. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. Because you read what you sow, you read what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. Because you read what you sow, you read what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Don't tell me that your life is a desert. Somebody gotta quench your thirst. You can bet, you can pray for the water, but you better get your head straight first. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. Because you read what you sow, you read what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. Because you read what you sow, you read what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive.
Yes. Please join me in affirming our statement of being. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. This power expresses life, love, wisdom, and abundance through me. In it, I live and move and have my being. Thank you. One way we empower abundant and meaningful living is by practicing and living our 5 basic principles. I'll state the principle first and then invite you to respond with the affirmation. I'll begin. God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. God is. I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and everyone. I create my experiences by what I think, feel, do, and believe. I create. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I pray. I do and give my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. I live. We have only one announcement today, and that is that we are looking forward to joining together physically in person, masked, the first Sunday of March, which is March the 6th. So please save the date, put that on your calendar, hang it up on your fridge, sing a song about it. Look forward to it. We're very much looking forward to seeing everyone's, well, the top third of their faces in March. And I'm so pleased to introduce our guest speaker today. Our guest speaker is Reverend Karen Williams. Reverend Karen is excited to speak about how to live love 100% in any situation. And that's something that we all need to know about. She was ordained with the Salvation Army and served as a pastor and educator in the Midwest for many years. After working with the Field Museum in Chicago, she moved to the West. In 2015, she retired with the City of Phoenix as Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. We're lucky that she now resides in Ellettsville. Her spiritual practice includes studying the Bible and A Course of Miracles in an effective, transformative way daily. While not claiming to be an expert in them, she is excited to share God's love in a heartfelt, practical way. She is thrilled to be invited back to Unity as a guest speaker, and we are thrilled to have her. Please welcome. Are we doing that before the children's moment? Sorry.
That is the children's moment.
There we go.
Please welcome.
Please welcome Reverend Karen.
Good morning, and I'm excited, and I've asked Wendy Wonderly to help me out with the children's moment. When we moved here almost 1 year ago, Wendy and I had never been into a Menards store, the home improvement store. And so when we were here and we needed some things for our new home in Ellettsville, we went to Menards, and they had 11% off rebates. So that was kind of fun, because every time you bought something, they would then send in the mail if you sent their receipts in, and you get 11% off. Well, they kept saying it was going to end, but they seemed to extend it for a while. But around November, right before Christmas, we kind of had that feeling like this is really going to end. So Wendy and I went in, we bought our new kitchen appliances. Well, you get a pretty good rebate coming back on those kitchen appliances, and then it ended. But we got the rebate in the mail. That felt pretty good. And then in January, this happened when I walked in the Menards store. You see that? 15% off. Every visit, you get 15% off. I had my rebate and everything that went in this bag, 15% off. I went home, I told Wendy all about it, and she sent me back. I went again. I was so excited about this. Every visit, 15% off. And I just kept going. I was so excited about this. I was in Menards so much that I started noticing something. One is, when I walked in, I thought, okay, the rules are pretty clear, but people started not following them a little bit. And it's like, well, God writes on our heart one thing, one rule, and that is, you are love. You are love. He says, I am love, you're made in my image, you are love. And do you know that I was in Menards, so if you need anything, I'm your girl. I know exactly where it is. But I was there so much that I noticed that one person put 4 bags in her cart. Well, it's pretty clear. The rule says 1 bag per person. But you see, this is what happens with people. We know we're loved, but we want to feel more special. We want more love. And this is what happens. Well, I want 4 bags, not the 1, I want 4. And God says, no. You're one person, you have all the love, and all that love inside of you is the same as every other person that comes into this place or is created. And sometimes people just want to feel like they're better than others. And God says, no, you're the same. You're not less and you're not more. Then I noticed somebody had their bag in the cart and started putting stuff on top of it. Well, it's pretty clear. You got to put the stuff in the bag. But you see, people have this love, but they try to cover it up with the things that they buy. Sometimes it's just the things that they want, but they cover up God's love. And instead, they just start looking at the items outside of that, outside of us. And then one guy, I was in line, and he had his bag folded like this, tucked under his arm like this, holding his stuff. And it's kind of like, oh, if I get in trouble, I'll ask God to help me. See, and all along, God's right there. He says, I've written it on your heart. I've written it on every person's heart. I'm love. You're love. And, of course, it applies to ourselves. God is, I am, we are. If we only really understood that, we probably wouldn't have any problems. So God is, I am, we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Karen. And Wendy. We love you. We bless you. We bless you. We truly, truly appreciate you. We behold the Christ in you.
Now, I know somewhere Menards is real happy that they've been compared to the divine. That's awesome. Do love me a good Menard trip. This year, Unity's annual theme is Embrace Your Unlimited Good. And our focus this month is, above all, love. The spiritual life we teach and practice is one of transformation. We are releasing our sense-based awareness and embracing a higher consciousness, the Christ mind, which is characterized, above all, as love. This heart-centered way of being is grounded in an understanding of love as a power, a commitment, and a choice, not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. We seek to love as we are loved by Source, wholly, deeply, and unconditionally, demonstrating that love truly binds together all things in perfect unity. Please join me in saying this month's affirmation together. I embrace, experience, and express love above all. I mentioned that on March 6th, we are reopening, and that is the first Sunday in March, and we are reopening with masks. The word for today is inspiration. And today our affirmation is, I am grateful to those who inspire me. So take a minute just to relax in your chair, on your bed, on your couch, wherever you're sitting right now. It's a nice day outside, so maybe you're outside today. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, be fully and completely wherever you are. Allow these words to inspire you. I am grateful to those who inspire me. I admire and respect the sacred calling and work of innovative and groundbreaking thinkers and leaders. The work they've done to forge new paths and lead humanity in new directions inspires me. I've heard inspiration described as the breath of God, an inner quickening. This quickening is mine as I forge new paths and boldly journey forward, creating my life anew. To keep divine inspiration flowing, I make time to rest in contemplative stillness. I begin each day with a prayer for a receptive mind and heart. I pray for the courage and clarity to release my rigid expectations. I live in a state of gratitude for the inspiration that flows from God and the opportunity to share it. From the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7, Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now let's join together in speaking the affirmation aloud. Together, I am grateful to those who inspire me. And now repeat it to yourself silently. I am grateful to those who inspire me. Today, as I mentioned before, our speaker is Reverend Karen Williams, and our musical inspiration will be provided by the Unity Music Team.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me.
Thank you. At this time, let's welcome Reverend Karen Williams.
Thank you, musical team. And 4 phrases. I think you may have a slide on Ho'oponopono, which is a forgiveness prayer. And it has 4 phrases. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Ho-ho is an Hawaiian word that means to make. Pono stands for to make right or right. So as I make myself right, you are made right. So the idea is 100% responsibility for everything around us based on this ancient Hawaiian teaching. And the person that made this known mostly all over the world is Dr. Liu Hen. And he was actually assigned to an Hawaii, or he worked at a Hawaii State Hospital, and he was the therapist for those who were criminally mentally ill. He would show up every day, the work days, he'd walk the ward, and in the evening, often patient was fighting against patient, staff was fighting against patients, and he would go in his office and he would read the files. And as he read the files of the stories of the patients, he felt a certain disgust, he felt a certain rage, he would feel fear and pain, and he would just continuously say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. He was saying, it's within me, and you played the role of actually showing that out in society. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you that you, as you've brought this to my attention, I've made it right within me, and then it's right within you. I love you. I love the divine in you. I love the divine in me. And he started that at that hospital in 1983. In 1987, they closed the hospital down. They released the majority of the patients. Some went to other facilities, and he never met with them one-on-one. That's the power of Ho'oponopono. He went on to write books about it. He went on, obviously, to be a master or a teacher in it. And the amazing thing is that he actually just died this January of this year. And amazing Ho'oponopono, the power of that. We're going to come back to that in our meditation time, and I've asked Wendy actually to lead us in a Ho'oponopono meditation. But for now, Just going to take a drink of water. Are you ready to embrace your unlimited good? My audience is basically to my right side, but I know the camera's in front of me, and I have wonderful people to my left, so I'll try to move around a little bit. But we certainly are so excited about being able to gather together at Unity. And are you ready to embrace your unlimited good? You know, you say to people, have a good day. If you really mean it, you're saying, have a God day. I woke up this morning, I wanted to come to Unity. I want a spiritual center. I wanted to embrace my good godly self. I wanted to experience peace and joy. And I wanted to express love above all. I did not wake up on the wrong side of the bed and think, I want to go to disunity, that unspiritual center, where I can embrace my badass self, and I can experience conflict and suffering, and I can just express all manner of foolishness. See, when we wake up in the morning, we basically are being asked one question, and it is, who am I? And depending on how we answer that question, the universe says, and so it is. I am tired. Oh, things through the day are just exhausting. I'm sick. My body, I feel every ache, every pain. I'm anxious. I'm worried about how am I going to pay the electric bill? I have doubts about the conversation that needs to happen at work. I'm unworthy. And do you know that there are jerks in traffic that are cutting me off just to let me know? Or the clerk at the store is rude. I get to work, I seem to get the most unpleasant assignments. And if none of them really convince me just how unworthy I am, someone in the family is going to step up and let me know. But I also can wake up on the right side in my right mind and say, I am energetic. As the Apostle Paul in Romans said, if God is for me, who can be against me? I'm healthy. Sure, I broke my foot, I have arthritic hands, but that pain, this pain, is not who I am. I am of healthy mind. I am inspired, which literally means in the Spirit. So if God is for me, who can be against me? The answer is no one. Nobody out there can be against me. I have creative impulses. I can wake up and say, I am as God created me to be. I am love, I am peace, I am joy, I am abundance. See, when you wake up, and maybe perhaps this happens to you, and you could say, well, I woke up on the right side of the bed, but by noon, all hell broke loose. What about that, Karen? Well, someone once throws a rock at Buddha, the awakened one. His disciples run to him and they say, how could this be? Buddha, you're the awakened one. You're the Buddha. And he just calmly responds, but I wasn't always the Buddha. You see, when we wake up and we determine who I am, it's like we have a balloon, and that balloon is a representation of our ego, and it's in all of us. But every time we say, I am not, we blow that balloon up. I am not worthy. I am not deserving. I am ugly, but I've accepted it. So we're inflating these balloons. The latest research actually says that you have 6,200 thoughts a day. Well, how many breaths are in the I am not category where you're blowing a balloon? Research also says that about 70 to 80% of those thoughts are I am not. So if that's happening every day, you and most people have a pretty good bouquet of hot air. And you're carrying it around, but it's balloons. It doesn't necessarily feel like a weight on you, but it's there. So imagine with me we're carrying our bouquet of hot air, that we go to the edge of the ocean. And we're there, and it's been a little inconvenient, but we're carrying our balloons. And a little bit of a wind comes, and then some of those balloons are released. Not very many, but a few of them. But you've accumulated a lot of them through every day, every week, every month, and sometimes some of them for years. So you got quite a lot of balloons going on. But it just causes, not very many, and it just causes a little bit of a ripple to come back. And that's at the point where you didn't really intend to get wet, but your feet get wet. This is what happens when you wake up and perhaps at some point you said, I'm aggravated. And then that's the day that you cut yourself shaving, you spill coffee on you, you come and go somewhere and people don't know how to use the roundabout. You see, they're just the aggravations that happen. And all along at that point, there's always that opportunity to kind of release that thought of I am not with what I am. But you get through the day. But then, as you're there, somebody kind of bumps into you, because you see everybody's there at the edge of the water with their balloons, and quite a few are released. Well, at this point, now that hot air becomes much more of a gust, and it has developed some white caps. And these white caps, they hit you, and I've been at the ocean, you're off balance when those waves hit you. And you can feel like you've been thrown around a little, and you're off balance. And what most people do when that happens to them, most people, particularly those that are really on a spiritual journey, they then start looking at who am I to blame? You ran into me, you're to blame. Oh, that boss at work, he is really, really something. He's a piece of work. And he is out to get me. And so you have these attacks, and you're thinking, well, this is something outside of me. And if you're not blaming, you're not attacking, then you're thinking, well, I have this void inside of me. Even though I'm created as whole and complete with all of God's love, 100% of love in every situation, I feel a void. And this is where people start looking outside of them and say, well, but if I could have more or a thing, I'd feel really good if I had a nicer car. I'd feel really good if I had a bigger house. Oh, I'd feel really good if I had a little more prestige, if I got that promotion, if I got that status, if I only got another degree, even though I've read numerous books, but if I get another degree, I'll continue to be the smartest person in the room, and I'll have that prestige. Or they look and they say, well, if there were only more people who liked me, or if I had that relationship, if I could find that soulmate, that would fill this void. Well, those are just really attachments. Their true desire is to be filled up with God, but those are false desires. And they're not going to fill us up. And what happens a lot of times in those situations, you've had these experiences, and say that you do end up with a nice partnership with them. You have these experiences, and then it's like, they're just not the person I thought I married. You see? And you then have a story to tell. And what happens for many people is, hey, that boss treated me badly, my partner treated me badly, maybe my business partner ran off with some money, and then you have a story to tell. And people begin to repeat that experience and that story. And they do that because somehow that makes them feel important. even if it's not a pleasant story. It's they're trying to fill themselves up with, but I'm important, I've got a story. Look at how bad those people are and have been to me. Don't you feel sorry for me? And you see, it's always just a desire to release the old, the I am not, and fill us with what I am. Well, now, let's see, what's next? The big squall of wind that comes back with that violent storm. You see, in the Whitecaps, people might say, God help me. But what they really mean often in that case is, God, just get me out of here. I don't want to go through it. Just get me out of here. But when that storm comes, that's at the point where before perhaps you tried to fill yourself up with some kind of addictive alcohol or drugs or a relationship or whatever those addictions are. And in the storm is where, oh boy, that violent storm comes, and I'm not just kind of bent and knocked around a little bit. I feel like I'm broken in pieces. And that is what is often called the dark night of the soul. And it comes to all of us at different times, and it can last sometimes for months or even 2-3 years. But those dark nights of the soul is at that point, whether it's, I am going to end up with that divorce, that breakup. I am now going to have to file for that bankruptcy. I am going to have to face, I have a problem. And often at that point, our hands actually come together and we say, help me, God. But see, that help me, God, is, you got to help me through this. Not take it away. You got to help me through this. And it's at that point where we're ready to really do the kind of spiritual, internal work needed to feel 100% complete and loving at all times. And there's 5 things that happen in that process. And they can happen whether it's a ripple, they can happen whether it's kind of the Whitecaps coming back, or if it's the big violent storm. And I'm going to use my hand to illustrate it because you've prayed, and now you have your hand. So I think of it as like a helping hand. And to get through that, you first recognize there's an issue. That's not too hard. You know you can't pay your bills. You got a problem. You know your spouse is leaving you, or your longtime significant other is leaving you. You're faced with that divorce. You know that there may be a sense of unworthiness that is playing out, and you're at the point where you really recognize that there needs to be help, but there's an issue. And the second step, though, is to really heal, and that's what we're talking about. Ho'oponopono, healing forgiveness. Some people call it surrender, some people call it undoing, but it is a release of these issues and hidden behind them, and sometimes we need some help from others to get to that point of understanding, okay, the issue is I can't pay my bills. What's hidden behind that issue? You know, that usually comes from the thoughts that you have kept and that you have over and over again, and those are called beliefs. Wow, you know, I really don't believe. I have a belief in scarcity. I think I don't deserve. Somewhere along the line, someone said for me to be the person I need to be poor. So you look at what is hidden behind that issue. Maybe it's, hey, my spouse is leaving, and I really need to look at, I wanted that person to give me something. Because you see, if you're looking for positions or things, possessions, or you're looking for relationships to fill you up, you're forgetting who you are. So you're out there to get. You're literally taking. And then you realize, wow, you know, they are really, I'm being responsible for how I'm now feeling about what's happening here, because I realize all along I thought I was unlovable. because maybe someone in my life, an important person, left me. And it left me with that sense of being unlovable. So you have the issue, you recognize it, you accept something may be hiding behind it. And that third step, so important, because you have your cup full or your soul full, the Holy Grail full, whatever you want to call it, is full of these issues that, or false beliefs, that you then surrender it. That's the forgiving, the release part of it. And then you begin to feel, wow, that feels good. That feels good. But there's still 2 more steps. See, and that is that you can't leave that cup empty. Because if you leave that cup empty, you are actually not replacing how you feel. You've gotten rid of the I am not, but now you have to fill it up with what I am. So where I felt unlovable, I now fill it with love. Where I felt unworthy, I now fill it with a self-worth. Where I felt scarcity and lack, I fill it with abundance. And it's very interesting that the Bible says, and many of us have heard, seek and you shall find. And that's true. Seek and you will find God. It is true, without a doubt. But in the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the lost books, it has an interesting saying out of those 144 sayings that they found. And it says, seek and ye shall find and you will be disturbed. What? What's that mean? And that means in that third step, when you've come to surrender, you got it. But if I'm not now married to so-and-so, then who am I? If I'm not going to be unworthy, or then I'm going to have self-worth. Where am I going to find it? So you see, if I'm no longer going to be the alcoholic, then who am I? You see what that means? It means it's disturbing. That's why you have to fill the cup up. And then the last thing is, good job. Good job. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And gratitude for every place you see love, gratitude for every place that you see peace, gratitude for everything. And I want to close by, so we have our balloons, and everybody's along the edge of the water. But let's just take a higher perspective for a moment, which literally, for me, always means you go vertical. That's what that means. That you just kind of connect, and you're kind of like up now above the ocean. And what do you see? You see the sky, you see the beautiful shorebirds, you see the sun. And then from that perspective, looking down, you notice a couple of things. And one is, no matter what the storm is, even though it's right there and you're getting that water on you, and that's what you're faced with. From this higher perspective, that you realize that those are just lessons. They're just tests. You start off completely whole, and we will end completely whole. But what that is just the test. And you can do it the easy way and wake up sooner, or you can do it the hard way, waiting for the violent storms and those dark nights of the soul. But we're meant to wake up, and they're just lessons. And the thing to know from that perspective is there's never a test that's greater than your ability to handle it. Whatever's in your life, you can handle it. It's just meant to wake you up. It's not a punishment. It's everybody's a stage. All the players are playing their parts ever so perfectly. And what you realize from that perspective is that sometimes you are the one playing in somebody else's drama, somebody else's experience. Doesn't make you bad or good. It just means you're become a player in there. You bumped into them. And that's what you are. And others are playing their part ever so perfectly. And sometimes it's ugly because you have something to learn about yourself. So you learn you can always get through it. You learn that in that higher perspective, there is a divine order. It may all seem like chaos down here, and it's certainly free will. You can choose to ignore it. Your issues, you can continue to blame and put it outside of you, or you can really do the work and fill yourself up. And in that divine order, you realize from the Alpha to the Omega, I am as God created me. And I'm going to wake up, and everyone is actually going to wake up at some point. That's what it's saying. And in that, there's not so much a free will. What I'm saying at that point is there are those who are stepping up to help us with the Antichrist consciousness on this earth. So when you say, well, some people, who really stepped out to take care of some collective issues for all of us, it didn't end so well. I mean, think of Jesus of Nazareth, who identified himself as the Christ. I mean, he was crucified. And then the point of that was to teach us that when we are crucified, we are meant to resurrect. And I'm going to end with sharing a couple of examples. One of a woman that is a Pakistani woman, you may have heard of her, Malala, who won the Nobel Peace Prize at the age of 17. And she, as a young girl in high school, always spoke out about that girls should be educated, just like the boys. And she just finished her high school exam. She was on a school van. She had two of her girlfriends on each side of her, and a member of the Taliban enter her van, and they say, Malala. And then they know, because the girlfriends on both sides looked at her, that that was her, and they shot her in the head. They never attacked really children, or rarely ever did, but they did. She wakes up 10 days later and in a hospital in England, goes through numerous surgeries, and then speaks. Her first speaking engagement is at the United Nations Youth Assembly, and she speaks about forgiveness and compassion. So at 17, she wins the Nobel Peace Prize. And when I listened to an interviewer ask her, well, aren't you afraid of the Taliban? I mean, and she laughs, and she said, and today she's only 24, and she said, why? Are they going to try to kill me again? So when I heard that, I immediately went to, here Jesus is, explaining to his disciples that he has to go to Jerusalem and that his divine plan to change the Antichrist consciousness of the world is that he will show that he can resurrect from the dead. And the reason was, in the Hebrew law is that you're born and then you're dust, and you die and you're dust, and there's nothing. And he wanted people to know you're not mortal human beings. You are spiritual beings, immortal beings, able to live 100% love. And so that was part of that consciousness, beyond also saying that when you are crucified, you're meant to resurrect. And Peter pulls him aside and rebukes Jesus and says, stop telling people this is going to happen. And Jesus says to Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. You see what he's saying? See, Jesus has a balloon. It's just never inflated. That's the difference between him and us, is that he never let anything between God and himself. But what he was saying to Peter wasn't, oh, you're the devil or you're bad or anything. He was just saying, don't bring my fears up. I have a consciousness to do what God wants me to do, and this is what he wants me to do. And when we get to the point where somebody tries to pull us aside, tries to bring up and have us feel these fear-based thoughts, it's like saying, get thee behind me, Satan. And that's what Malala was doing. She was saying, I'm not going to let my fear keep me from getting girls educated all over the world. And she's now raised millions of dollars to do that. And then the interviewer asked her, well, what does it to you to be Muslim, to be Islam? Without hesitation, she said, peace. See what she was saying? She was saying, I am so full of peace and love and forgiveness and the abundance of God No one. If God is for me, who can be against me? Absolutely no one. And I end with this. Jesus is on the cross, and some of his last words is, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And that is, he's talking about the Roman soldiers. But people think, oh, well, it's Jesus. He's just like, hey, I'll just be the bigger person, and I'll forgive you for, being mean to me. He wasn't saying, hey, God, they're being mean to me. Can you kind of come and take care of them? He wasn't saying that at all. He was saying, Father, Abba, Daddy, connect with me. Connect with me as I do. I am connected to you. Everybody in the world is playing their part on the stages. Jesus was meant to be crucified and then resurrected. Somebody had to kill him. And this was him saying, I'm sorry, you're the ones that have been chosen. They know not what they do. I know you're insane. You wouldn't have this job if you were really connected to your spiritual being, but you're not. But I'm sorry. Please forgive me that you have to play this role for me to fulfill what God has for me. And then at the end of that, he says, of course, a part of, I love you. I love the divine in you. And that's his way. His way was always love and forgiveness. And then in another gospel, it says his very last words were, it is finished. What's he doing there? He's saying, good, I did it. I did it. I live this in this world, not being of this world. How can I live 100% love? When it comes up, I'm going to be more aware and willing not to inflate the balloon. And if I do, I'm willing to do love and forgiveness. And I'm going to have Wendy come up and lead us in a meditation.
In the silence, there is a sacred space, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow wins, good is there. In the light now I find that I know peace of mind. In the silence, my path is paved in gold, and all my dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
Thank you, Unity Music Team, for that lovely introduction, and thank you, Karen. Ho'oponopono, as Karen said, is a very ancient and very useful technique. It can help you with relationships, with situations, even with changing energy in a room or an area. In those 4 phrases, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, those can be used in any order, whatever works for you at the time. And I wanted to Karen touched on these, but I wanted to cover 2 concepts that help Ho'oponopono go deeper for me. The first one is that we are all connected. We are all one. And because we are all one, we all have a part to play in everything. and we can influence everything. Of course, there's differences in our ability to do that. My ability to influence my relationship with Karen is a lot easier than my ability to influence those squalls on the ocean for everybody. And the second concept is that the world is a mirror. Our inner world projects out onto the outer world, which reflects it back to us. And that projection is not perfect, but it is there. So, two concepts, we're all connected. The world is a mirror. Let's all take a couple of deep, cleansing breaths. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth with a sigh. Stretch a little bit, get comfortable. One more breath. And now I'd like you to bring to mind a person with whom you have some kind of challenge. It can be a little irritation. It can be a little bigger than that, or it can be flat out a person that's challenging. But bring that person to mind. Gently close your eyes, and let's take a deep dive here into Ho'oponopono. And just imagine these words are being said from you to them. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for forgetting your true identity. I'm sorry for forgetting that you are a divine child of God, as am I. And I'm sorry for judging you. I'm sorry for judging you of even being capable of being hurtful or harmful or unpleasant. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about all that. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for having projected my stuff onto you. Please forgive me for having projected my untrue beliefs and my unhealed wounds onto you. Please forgive me for that. And I forgive myself for my part in that as well. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you for mirroring that back to me. Thank you for bringing out to me what I needed to see, for revealing to me what I need to work on to make it right. Thank you. I love you. I love you not because of what you've done or what you haven't done. I love you for who you are, a divine child of God. The divine in me loves the divine in you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And feel the energy change between you and that person. Feel the humility and the love, the forgiveness, the gratitude. Thank you. I love you.
existence. In truth, I'm a being of a spiritual realm. Although I am living a human existence, in truth, I'm a being of a spiritual realm. I am a spiral of expansion. I am greater than enough. I am compassionate and trusting. I am strong when it seems rough. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm. I am endlessly creative. I am intuitively wise. I am here in divine timing. I am the sight beyond my eyes. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm. In truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm. In truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm.
Thank you, Reverend Karen. Thank you, Wendy, for that beautiful meditation. We now turn to the spiritual practice of generosity. We're grateful for the many ways this center supports us in our spiritual growth, and we in turn are happy to support this center with our financial contributions and our voluntary service. We're also grateful to those who have already put in place automatic weekly, monthly, or quarterly giving. And today, if you feel led to give, please visit our website at unityofbloomington.org and click on the giving link. We also welcome your gifts to Unity of Bloomington at our physical address, 4001 South Rogers Street, Bloomington, Indiana, 47401. Please do not mail cash. We promise to cash your check. Please join me now in speaking aloud our abundance affirmation. Together. I am an abundant being living in an abundant universe. God is the source of my supply. I am not dependent on people or situations for my good. God is the source of my supply. I always have something to give, and I consistently give it. I expect the best, I give my best, and I now attract the best in every experience.
There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. At least 100 ways for me to receive. I embrace my good, and I do believe there are at least 100 ways
We now bless our abundance with these words together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I'd like to invite you to join with me in saying our closing prayer together. As the light of God we shine, as the love of God we embrace, as the power of God we stand in truth, as the presence of God we radiate love. Where we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, everyone. We wish you a wonderful week.